Hello BookTube, as you can see over here, my new books are down, so that means it's time for my May book haul. I had a pretty good month. I bought 16 new books and completely obliterated my book budget. Anyway, so let's get started. I'm going to start with Alibris and then work my way to other means of getting my book. So the first two books I got this month, and I ordered at the end of April from Half Price Books through Alibris, are two histories, both ancient histories. The first is Adrian Goldsworthy's The Punic Wars. This is a history of the three Punic Wars between Rome and Carthage in the from like 2 something BC to 1 something BC. Not quite clear on the dates. But anyway, so I had this book a few years ago, well, more like almost 20. When I was in college, I was a member of the history book club. And I want to say this book was one of the ones I initially ordered. You would get like a catalog, and then you could select up to 4 or 5 books, and then they'd send them to you, and then from there on out they would have like a book a month that you could accept or decline. So I picked this up, really enjoyed it, got rid of it for some reason or other, and have regretted it largely ever since, and I am quite happy to finally have this back in my collection. The other history I bought this month is more recent. It is about a considerably more ancient subject, Ancient Syria by Trevor Bryce. I interrupted this book 2 years ago, I think, and really loved it. I quite like Trevor Bryce's work. He has, I think, 2 or 3 books on the Hittite Empire that I want, but so far they are priced well above what I'm willing to spend on them. But quite happy to finally have this in my collection, and I'm looking forward to rereading it in the near future. So, in addition, excuse me, just had lunch, to 2 histories, and these are the only 2 histories I bought. I picked up quite a few books from, I want to say it's Discover or Owls through Libris. So I'm wanting to increase my literary, realistic, contemporary fiction shelves, which will be right here for the moment. So I bought quite a few books used. A lot of these are for my America 20 reading project, although there are some that are just books one that is for the my reread project, and then another one that I really enjoyed and would like to reread too. So let's get this as a mount up. So first up we have The Surrendered by Chang-Rae Lee. Let me read you a bit of the back of the book. June Han has forged a life thousands of miles from her birthplace. She has built a business in New York, survived a husband, borne a child, but her past holds more secrets than she has ever been able to tell. And 30 years after her escape from war-ravaged Korea, the time has come for her to confront them. Hector Brennan, fighter, drinker, and failure grand in total, is the man who long ago in the aftermath of the war saved June's life. And between June and Hector lies the story of the beautiful, damaged missionary wife, Sylvie Tanner, whose elusive love they both once sought. Bound together by a legacy of violence and love, June and Hector go in search of their past, a journey that unfurls as a profound meditation on the nature of heroism and sacrifice, the power of love, and the possibilities of salvation and surrender. So it sounds very interesting. Next, we have Alice McDermott's Charming Billy. I read this in 2017, and I loved it. It's about a man named Billy Lynch and his death, and how his family and friends react to it. Now, let me read you the back. Billy Lynch's family and friends have gathered at a small Bronx bar. They have come to comfort his widow and eulogize one of the last great romantics, trading tales of his famous humor, immense charm, and unfathomable sorrow. As they linger on into this extraordinary night, their voices form Billy's tragic story, and their mourning becomes a gentle homage to all the lives in their small community fractured by grief, shattered by secrets, and sustained by the simple dream of love. So I read it and from the library and loved it, and I've really wanted it ever since. Next up, we have Shadowplay by Charles Baxter. So I first read Charles Baxter in one of the Art of books, and was quite intrigued by his writing and wanted to check out his own work. So, as his wife does gymnastics and magic tricks, his crazy mother invents her own vocabulary, and his aunt writes her own version of the Bible. Five Oaks assistant city manager Wyatt Palmer tries to live a normal life and nearly succeeds. But when he lures a toxic waste-producing chemical plant to his economically depressed town, he discovers he has truly made a deal with the devil. Set in a small Michigan town, Shadowplay explores ethics, character, and the deeply complex questions we all must face, even when we are trying to live the simplest of lives. So it sounds very interesting. Next, we have Night at the Fiestas, stories by Kirstin Valdez Quade. So a few years ago, when I first discovered BookTube, one of the first BookTubers I subscribed to and watched quite religiously, and I still do to some extent, was Simon Savage of Savage Reads. And one of the first videos of his I remember watching was him doing a try a short story tag or challenge, where you would gather together a number of short story collections. You would read the first story in the collection, and then based on your reactions to that story, you would continue to read the rest of the collection of your favorite story. And I did that. Night at the Fiestas was one of the 6 or 8 books I selected. I decided I wanted to try to do the tag myself when I was writing a blog, and so I went to my local library. I had managed to figure out a way to get all of the short stories listed, and so I figured out, okay, which ones are at the library I go to, and then just got a list of, I think, 10 or so, and then went through and selected, I think, 6 or 8 of them. And I read the first short story from them and quite enjoyed some of them. Didn't quite enjoy a lot of the other ones, but I had a lot of fun with the challenge, and I would actually like to redo that challenge. And I want to pick up, I think, some of the other collections that I read at that time. But I'm definitely very happy to have Night at the Fiestas back in my collection, and I'm looking forward to rereading the book. Maybe this weekend. I have not yet quite decided what I'm going to be reading this weekend. I already know what I'm going to read this next week, but not this weekend. But you can watch that at Friday Weekly Reads. Next we have Wonderland, a novel by Stacey D'Erasmo. This is a used library book. It comes from Crowell Public Library, City of San Marino. I wonder where that's at. Oh, California. Cool. Well, given the fact that these books came from I think it's Owls out of Ogden, Utah. Makes sense. So, again, much like with the Charles Baxter book, there's I have one of her entries into the Art of series, and again was quite intrigued to see how she did her thing. So, sorry about the glare on this. Anna Brundage is a rock star. She is tall and sexy with a powerhouse voice and an unforgettable mane of red hair. She came out of nowhere, an immediate indie sensation, and then life happened. Anna went down as fast as she went up, and then walked off the scene for 7 years, without a record deal or clamoring fans. She sells a piece of her famous father's art to finance just one more album and a European comeback tour. Anna is 44. This may be her last chance to cement her place in the life she chose, the life she struggled for, the life she's not sure she can sustain. She falls back easily into the ways of the road, sex with strangers, the search for the perfect moment on stage. To see Anna perform is something. Watch her find her note, the electric connection with the audience, the transcendence when it all comes together, and the music seems to fill the world. Wonderland takes us deep into that dreamed-of world, music, fame, and art. It examines the life of a woman on an unconventional path, wondering what happens next and what her passions might have cost her. Seeking a version of herself she might recognize. It stares boldly and steps bravely into the wonderland that is the future, calling a tune out of anyone facing change. Sounds very intriguing. Next, we have Blue Angel by Francine Prose. So this is one of the books that really, I think, ignited my desire to do the America 20 reading project. I have wanted to read this book for 20 years. I read a review of the book in the Waco Tribune and Herald, and it intrigued me. And I never got around to actually buying it or checking it out. And I finally decided, okay, it's time to do this, to get this book and read it. So, let's take it back. It's been years since Swenson, a professor in a New England creative writing program, has published a novel. It's been even longer since any of his students have shown promise. Enter Angela Argo, a pierced-tattooed student with a rare talent for writing. Angela is just the thing Swenson needs, and better yet, she wants his help. But as we all know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Oh. And I've read a bit of the intro and quite enjoyed it, so I am really looking forward to it. And finally, from Alibris, Stephen Dobyns' The Burn Palace. So I first discovered Stephen Dobyns just recently. I was reading a collection of his poetry. I think it was Winter's Journey, and quite enjoyed it, and looked for more of his work, and I saw that he was a novelist, so I went and picked this up. I would have read the back of the book, but unfortunately there is a address label stuck to the back. So quite annoying. So anyway, looking forward to getting to that one too. So from Alibris, I decided, okay, I wanted to get a few more books in. So I did a small book depository purchase. So I wanted to pick up some, because I'm also wanting to do a Run the World in 80 books, and I wanted to add some possibilities to that. So I went to Book Depository and picked up 2 books. The Trouble with Goats and Sheep by Joanna Cannon. This made the round of BookTube, I think, when I first started. So yeah, let's read the back. Summer 1976. Mrs. Creasy is missing, and the avenue is alive with whispers. As the summer shimmers endlessly on, 10-year-olds Grace and Tilly decide to take matters into their own hands. But as doors and mouths begin to open and the cul-de-sac starts giving up its secrets, the amateur detectives will find more than they could have imagined. And The Lesser Bohemians by Eimear McBride, which I sort of stumbled upon and I find some of her work intriguing, so let's read. The vibrant energy of 1990s London, a year of passion and discovery, the anxiety and intensity of new love. An 18-year-old Irish girl arrives in London to study drama and falls violently in love with an older actor. While she is naive and thrilled by life in the big city, he is haunted by demons, and the glamorous relationship that ensues risks undoing them both. At once epic and exquisitely intimate, The Lesser Bohemians is a celebration of the dark and the light in love. So at this point, I would normally show what I picked up from Amazon, but over the past few months, Amazon has not been, they've been focusing more on essentials. And so entertainment goods like books and movies and what have you haven't been as well stocked. And at this time, I've been getting a hankering, a desire to really look at supporting more local, more independent booksellers. So, excuse me, that's what I've done this month. So I picked up, so I went to 2 independent booksellers, ordered online, because at the time neither one was open. One is now open, and the other one is, I think, open for curbside, but not actual in-store shopping. So the first 2 I will show you come from Fabled. It's a new bookstore that opened about 6 months ago in Waco, and I've never physically gone, so I can't describe it in too much detail. I would like to go at some point, but obviously not now. But so I ordered, and even though it's like shipped from Waco, the books took almost 2 weeks to get to me, and I'm like, I live like not too far. But anyway, that's obviously they had to go through the U.S. Postal Service, so it had to go to a regional distribution center, and then come back to, I guess, the local local distribution center before it came to me. But anyway, so let's get to the 2 books I ordered. Theyre There by Tommy Orange. This is again for the America 20 project, and I just thought this book sounded really intriguing, so let's read the back. Tommy Orange's wondrous and shattering novel follows 12 characters from native communities, all traveling to the big Oakland powwow, all connected to one another in ways they may not yet realize. Among them is Jackie Redfeather, newly sober and trying to make it back to the family she left behind. Denny Oxendini, hoping I did not butcher that too badly, pulling his life together after his uncle's death and working at the powwow to honor his memory. 14-year-old Net Orville, coming to perform traditional dance for the very first time. Together, this chorus of voices tells of the plight of the urban Native American, grappling with a complex and painful history and an inheritance of beauty and spirituality, with communion and sacrifice and heroism. Hailed as an instant classic, Theyre There is at once poignant and unflinching, utterly contemporary, and truly unforgettable. And also I picked up The Great Believers by Rebecca Makkai, which I read a bit of the intro and thought this book sounded amazing. So, in 1985, Yale Tishman is about to pull off an amazing coup, bringing in an extraordinary collection of 1920s paintings as a gift to the gallery where he works. Yet as his career begins to flourish, the carnage of the AIDS epidemic grows around him. One by one, his friends are dying, and after his friend Nico's funeral, the virus circles closer and closer to Yale himself. Soon, the only person he has left is Fiona, Nico's little sister. 30 years later, Fiona is in Paris, tracking down her estranged daughter, while staying with an old friend, a famous photographer who documented the Chicago crisis. She finds herself finally grappling with the devastating ways AIDS affected her life. The two intertwining stories take us through the heartbreak of the 80s and the chaos of the modern world as both Yale and Fiona struggle to find goodness in the midst of disaster. And finally, I picked up 3 books, or ordered 3 books from Book People. For those of you who don't know, Book People is probably one of the best independent bookstores in the world. It is an Austin institution, Austin being Austin, Texas. I first went to Book People, I think when I went on my college tour. And after we toured the campus, St. Edward's University, we went to Book People where I picked up, I think, 1 or 2 books. And then once I started my college career and moved to Austin, I pretty much went to Book People probably twice a month, at least once a month, probably twice a month, definitely far too often, honestly, but I loved it. And I hadn't really interacted with Book People since I left Austin, but I'm kind of thinking about really ordering a lot more from them in the future. So anyway, I ordered 3 books from them. Lot Stories by Bryan Washington. I think this collection made the rounds of BookTube late last year. But I really got tuned into Bryan Washington by watching some of his videos for the New Yorker YouTube channel. I thought they were quite intriguing and really wanted to look into his work. And I picked up 2 French novels. Let me go with the bigger one first. And Their Children After Them by Nicolas Mathieu. I know this book was highly recommended by Steve Donahue a month or so ago. So let me get this. August 1992. One afternoon during a heat wave in a desolate valley somewhere in eastern France, with its dormant blast furnaces and its lake, 14-year-old Anthony and his cousin decide to steal a canoe to explore the famous nudist beach across the water. The trip ultimately takes Anthony to his first love and a summer that will determine everything that happens afterward. And finally, a book that I've been interested in for quite a while, Lie With Me by Philippe Besson. Just outside a hotel in Bordeaux, Philippe chances upon a young man who bears a striking resemblance to his first love. What follows is a look back at the relationship he's never forgotten, a hidden affair with a boy named Thomas during their last year of high school. Thomas is the son of a farmer, Philippe the son of a school principal. At school, they don't acknowledge each other, but they still time to meet in secret, carrying on a passionate, world-altering affair. Despite the intensity of their attraction, from the beginning, Thomas knows how it will end. Because you will leave and we will stay, he says. Philippe becomes a writer and travels the world, though he never lets go of the relationship that shaped him and every story he's ever told. Oh yeah. Ooh. Hoping I did not go too far off the camera for that. I do not know if I'm going to be able to make a book pyramid. We'll try. So that was my 16 book May book haul. I'm not entirely sure what my plan is going to be for June. I've already ordered 1 book in, and hopefully it should come in next week sometime. That particular seller doesn't really do the tracking information, so I won't know about it until it kind of nearly reaches the postal service, because I have informed delivery, so I can kind of track my packages and stuff, sometimes too obsessively. But I'm not entirely sure if I want to continue picking up more literary fiction, realistic, contemporary. Whether I want to get some more history, because there were a few history books that I really wanted. Because, like, early this week, I built a list of, excuse me, I think it was like 13 books from a Libris. And that just, was going to kill my budget. So I kind of whittled it down to one, and then if I have any extra, I might get a few more. I'm not entirely sure. If I wanted to do, like, again, more literary fiction, more history, get some more science fiction and fantasy, because I haven't really gotten any new science fiction or fantasy in for quite some time, a few months at least. If I wanted to focus more on picking up, since June is Pride Month, more LGBT books, novels. So anyway, we'll find out. Obviously, I'll work it out, and you'll see the results. Either of you can see what, read what the books are over there, or obviously when I do my next book haul, which should be the last Friday in June, or the last weekday in June, I should say. So until next time, I will have weekly reads in a few hours. I still need to finish the book that I'm reading so I can talk about it more fully. But let me try to get a book pyramid without necessarily knocking the books on the floor. Although, regardless, it should probably be quite hilarious. And hopefully I can get a thumbnail out of this, because this would just be fun. Okay. Hopefully that was enough. Now I need to put these in alphabetical order and then put them on my shelves. So anyway, BookTube, I will see you in a few hours with weekly reads. Thank you, and have a great afternoon. And stay safe.